I should have been furious that morning, but I wasn't. I was calm in a way that would scare most people. And calm can be more dangerous than anger. You ever look at someone and just know they've underestimated you? That was the day everything in my quiet Florida neighborhood tilted off its axis. The day an HOA president decided she was untouchable. She had no idea who she was dealing with. My name is Marcus Kellerman, Navy mechanic, widower, father of twins. I've kept engines alive in storms that peeled steel like oranges. So a woman with a clipboard didn't feel like a threat. At least, not at first. But this story really begins with the boat. Not just fiberglass and bolts, something heavier. Something with Sarah's fingerprints all over it. And that detail changes everything, doesn't it? Pelican Shores was supposed to be my reset button. Salt air mornings, gulls screaming like rusty hinges. Neighbors who minded their business. Then she arrived and peace started taking on water. You know that type, the smile with teeth too perfect? White BMW always washed, doors shutting with a judge's echo. Brenda Holloway walked like she owned the weather itself. And I remember thinking, what does she want from me? She pointed at the Grady White like it offended God. I was polishing the hull, sweat crawling down my spine. The rag smelled of marine paint and old memories. She said, vehicle situation, and my stomach answered before my mouth could. I told her it was legal. She said legal was irrelevant. So whose rules actually mattered here? That question kept ringing all night. My daughters told me to document everything. Smart kids, too smart maybe. Emily said think like a lawyer. Grace said think like an accountant hunting rats. And suddenly this wasn't about a boat at all, was it? Brenda claimed she cared about impressions. Yet bigger violations bloomed on every street. RVs like small planets, lawns dying slow public deaths. So why was my driveway the only battlefield? I began noticing patterns that week. Deputies chatting with her too comfortably. Inspectors who looked related, literally. Have you ever smelled corruption before you could prove it? It smells a lot like jasmine mixed with diesel. My house echoed after Sarah died. Even the staircase sounded lonely. The boat filled that hollow with purpose. And purpose makes a stubborn man dangerous again. Brenda didn't see grief, she saw a target. Did she really think I'd roll over? Navy taught me about letting enemies expose themselves. So I started designing something surgical. Something she'd step into wearing designer heels. 3 days after her first visit, Brenda returned with Derek. Routine inspection, they called it. Routine like a shark in a bathtub. He flipped pages thicker than phone books. And I wondered, how deep does this family tree go? That was the morning I decided not to fight. Not openly anyway. I'd let Brenda believe the trailer was victory. Because sometimes surrender is just camouflage, right? When the deputies eventually came, I was drinking coffee again. The cup warm like an engine at idle. Brenda waved as the boat left. Who waves at a man while stealing his sanity? That question turned into rocket fuel. And as that flatbed disappeared, a new thought surfaced. What if losing the boat was the first step to destroying the HOA instead? What if I was already 10 moves ahead? Hold that thought, you're going to need it. Paradise had chosen the wrong mechanic. The wrong husband. The wrong father. And Brenda Holloway had just pulled the pin on something she couldn't see. Next week I'll show you how I built the trap, permits, cameras, and a fake surrender. And the evidence I uncovered would make any sailor whistle. Let me ask you something, got your own Brenda on your street? Brenda thought she had brought authority with her. What she actually brought was opportunity. And opportunity can wear an inspector's badge, can't it? Derek circled my property like he was measuring a crime scene. The sun beat down on the driveway, cicadas rattling like loose valves. He called it standard procedure. I called it the opening act to something uglier. He photographed the boat from every angle. His camera clicked like a firing range metronome. Brenda watched with folded arms, heel-tapping impatience. Ever seen someone rehearse your defeat in public? That's exactly what it felt like. I noticed Derek never looked at the other houses. Not the Henderson RV blocking half the canal view. Not the Patel shed painted a screaming purple. Selective vision is a medical condition, or a strategy? That evening I started installing my own eyes. 2 security cameras hidden in bird boxes Sarah had loved. A dash cam in my truck aimed at the driveway. If the HOA wanted documentation, I'd give them cinema. Grace helped me build spreadsheets of violations. Rows of dates, names, deputy visits. Patterns glowing like radar screens. How does a college kid become better intel than the county? Emily mailed me excerpts from Florida statutes. Words sharp as new propellers. She said, "Dad, make them break their own rules." Break them gently, that was the plan. I filed a request with the HOA for variance. Polite, almost fragile tone. Brenda replied with bureaucratic poetry about aesthetics. Have you ever read a threat written like a wedding invitation? Neighbors began whispering my name at the marina. Some warned me Brenda had taken other boats before. Others said fines could drown a man faster than storms. Storms, I understood. Fines were just another engine to study. One retired Marine, Carlos, told me his story over cheap beer. Brenda had forced him to remove memorial flags. Flags for his son killed in Afghanistan. What kind of woman fights dead soldiers? That night I decided the trap needed bait. I moved the boat 6 inches closer to the sidewalk, still legal. Cameras rolling, daughters approving. Small movement, big message. Who was sending messages now? Brenda issued the first fine 2 days later. $250 for visibility. The letter smelled of her lavender perfume. I swear it did. Ever had paper make you want to go back to war? I paid it instantly. That shocked her more than resistance. Payment is a language tyrants don't understand. But it was just phase 1, remember? Derek returned again without notice. My dashcam caught him chatting with Brenda like family at Thanksgiving. He admitted on audio they were related. Admitted it casually. Casual confessions are still confessions, right? Emily said that recording was dynamite. Grace said we needed more before lighting the fuse. Patience stretching like a calm sea. How long can a man wait for justice? I began attending HOA meetings quietly. Brenda sat at the head table glowing confidence. I sat in the back wearing grief like a raincoat. Ever hunted someone by applauding them? She announced new rules targeting oversized marine objects. My camera captured every syllable. Rules written with my address invisible in the ink. Have you ever felt legislation aimed at your heart? The trap was taking shape, legal filings, recordings, witnesses. Brenda believed she was engineering order. I was engineering narrative destruction. 2 mechanics, 2 different machines. And then came the court papers and deputies. The moment she decided to remove the boat entirely. She thought creativity belonged only to the HOA. Wrong assumption number 99. Tomorrow I'll reveal the fake company I created to store the boat. And the complaint I filed against Derek's badge. Let me ask you something. Ever seen a BMW tow away its own future wreck? Marcus here. And this is where the story stops being neighborhood drama and turns into a full-blown naval operation. An operation designed in a 650-square-foot garage that smelled of motor oil and Sarah's old lemon candles. Ever planned a war beside a memory shrine? I created a shell company called Shores Restoration LLC. Not to hide, but to provoke. Because paperwork scares tyrants more than shouting ever could. Grace drafted the business filings like a pro. Emily added legal language sharp enough to cut rope. Twin daughters building a weapon with their father. Beautiful image, right? Who was the real family now? I sent Brenda a certified letter offering to transfer the boat to my own LLC for off-site storage. Polite tone, humble words. Inside those words lived a bear trap. Brenda rejected it instantly. Too instantly. Why would she fear a solution unless she wanted the problem alive? That question became my North Star. Carlos and Carlos's wife agreed to testify. Carlos brought photos of Brenda harassing memorial flags. Derek's own colleagues began messaging me privately. Private leaks sink big ships. I filed an ethics complaint against Derek with the county. My dashcam video attached. Have you ever watched an inspector sweat through a badge? I have. HOA meetings turned colder after that. Brenda stopped saying my name aloud. Silence is also evidence, isn't it? Then she escalated to court. And courts mean deputies. Deputies who didn't know my cameras were already rolling their careers into documentaries. When Brenda finally ordered the boat seized, I stood there sipping coffee like the competitor intro, but calmer, smarter, deadlier paced. Diesel exhaust hugging the air. Brenda's perfume doing victory laps. Ever seen a villain celebrate inside your movie? The trailer left my driveway at 9:17 a.m. By 9:18 my cameras had already uploaded to 3 locations. Cloud backups are lifeboats for truth. Neighbors thought I'd lost paradise. I knew I'd purchased access to Brenda's destruction. Access worth more than any 1987 Grady White. Next part 1 reveal how Derek got suspended, and what I discovered about Brenda's finances. Financial corruption leaves fingerprints, too. Hold your breath, HOA niche family, this gets wild. Marcus Kellerman speaking, and if you think the boat theft was bold, wait till you hear what was hiding behind Brenda's perfect manicure. Behind every 127 home paradise, there's a bookkeeping room. And bookkeeping rooms can leak like damaged hulls. 3 weeks after my ethics complaint, Derek was suspended pending investigation. The county called it procedural. I called it the first crack in Brenda's glass castle. Cracks make interesting sounds, don't they? Grace began digging into HOA budgets Emily requested through Emily's student law channels. Maintenance contracts inflated like life rafts. Towing expenses appearing before any court approval. Ever seen numbers testify louder than Marines? One invoice showed Brenda had hired her cousin's towing company for $18,000 that year alone. Yet only 2 boats had been officially removed. So where did the rest of that money sail to? That question tasted better than morning coffee. Carlos connected me with 3 more victims. A teacher fined for chalk art Emily's daughters had drawn. An elderly widow forced to cut down Sarah-style rose bushes. Why does Brenda Holloway hate anything that grows with love? I attended the next HOA meeting with printed invoices tucked under my arm. Paper bullets ready. Brenda's heel no longer tapped confidently. Confidence has a short shelf life. She announced. New transparency initiatives. Too late for poetry now. My cameras captured her nervous laughter and liquid mirror clarity Marcus would appreciate. HOA niche suddenly smelled fear instead of lavender. Derek's suspension triggered an audit. Audits are depth charges. Neighbors began choosing sides like picking fishing Marcus had promised. Who was arguing over spots now? Next part 1 show you the audit results, and the final twist waiting at the marina. Brenda believed she'd waved Marcus into surrender. She was waving Marcus into Chapter 4 of her prosecution. Marcus here, and by this point Pelican Shores didn't feel like paradise anymore. It felt like a stage with bad lighting. And Brenda was starting to forget her lines. The county audit landed with the weight of an anchor dropped from the sky. Pages of findings, contract conflicts, unauthorized towing fees. Ever watched a neighborhood dictator read their own obituary in numbers? Brenda called it a misunderstanding. I call that word interesting, misunderstanding. How many misunderstandings fit in a white BMW trunk? Derek met me at the marina parking lot pretending coincidence. Badge gone, voice smaller. He said Brenda pushed him into inspections. Push or partnership, what's the difference legally? Grace highlighted transactions HOA had hidden under. Beautification. Beautification for whom exactly? For Sarah's memory? Or Brenda's ego wearing designer Derek-style sunglasses? Carlos agreed to go public with his son's flag story. Other victims forming a small fleet behind me. Fleet of truth versus fleet of fines. Cinematic battle, right? Brenda tried offering to return the boat Marcus had restored. Too generous suddenly. Generosity arriving after audits always looks suspicious. Pelican Shores audience. I told her no. No shocked her more than yes ever could Marcus style. Because the trap needed one more turn of the propeller. Next part 1 reveal what happened when the FBI joined the movie, and how Brenda finally learned Marcus wasn't a grease monkey at all. HOA niche family, this is the moment you've been waiting for. Marcus Kellerman here, final chapter, final reveal, and the twist that still makes Pelican Shores veterans stop me for handshakes. Ever seen a white BMW look smaller parked beside a chain-link fence and a row of federal agents? I have. That was the day the war ended Marcus style. Brenda Holloway was arrested at the marina at 8:42 a.m., same water, same gulls, completely different weather on her face. No lavender victory now Marcus remembers that scent. The towing cousin company Derek ran was charged with interstate fraud and conflict of interest violations Emily had predicted. Predictions taste sweeter Marcus knows when they come true. Carlos stood with me as the cuffs clicked. Flags returned to every porch HOA niche finally allowed. The elderly widow replanted Sarah-style roses Grace helped pay for through restitution funds. Restitution is a language Marcus prefers over fines. My $120,000 Grady White was released from evidence Derek admitted. I launched it on Sarah's birthday with twin daughters aboard, Emily in a law internship blazer, Grace filming for this very channel. Channeling grief into creativity competitor tone taught me that, but I wrote my own hook. Pelican Shores president's seat is empty Marcus knows for now. Neighbors asked me to run for HOA. Imagine that, the grease monkey becoming the head mechanic of 127 homes. So here's what Brenda never understood. You don't trap a sailor by taking his boat. You trap yourself by proving you were never authority at all. Marcus Kellerman found peace again. Peace that smells like salt air and honest diesel. Drop your city below and tell me, got your own neighborhood dictator. And remember to fight creative, not just angry. Marcus Kellerman here, final chapter, final reveal, and the twist that still makes Pelican Shores veterans stop me for handshakes. Ever seen a white BMW look smaller parked beside a chain-link fence and a row of federal agents? I have. That was the day the war ended Marcus style. Brenda Holloway was arrested at the marina at 8:42 a.m., same water, same gulls, completely different weather on her face. No lavender victory now Marcus remembers that scent. The towing cousin company Derek ran was charged with interstate fraud and conflict of interest violations Emily had predicted. Predictions taste sweeter Marcus knows when they come true. Carlos stood with me as the cuffs clicked. Flags returned to every porch HOA niche finally allowed. The elderly widow replanted Sarah-style roses Grace helped pay for through restitution funds. Restitution is a language Marcus prefers over fines. My $120,000 Grady White was released from evidence Derek admitted. I launched it on Sarah's birthday with twin daughters aboard, Emily in a law internship blazer, Grace filming for this very channel. Channeling grief into creativity competitor tone taught me that, but I wrote my own hook. Pelican Shores president's seat is empty Marcus knows for now. Neighbors asked me to run for HOA. Imagine that, the grease monkey becoming the head mechanic of 127 homes. So here's what Brenda never understood. You don't trap a sailor by taking his boat. You trap yourself by proving you were never authority at all. Marcus Kellerman found peace again. Peace that smells like salt air and honest diesel. Drop your city below and tell me, got your own neighborhood dictator. And remember to fight creative, not just angry.